stream. In the live stream. Oh, there you go. You can get some backdrop stuff up there. I'm a little slanted, whatever. It's live stream. It's a live stream, doing the stuff and the things in the live stream, having some fun in the live stream because we like doing live streams because they're great. Yeah. One of these days I'm gonna grab a spider, reaching back behind the couch for a cord, but that day wasn't today. Check back next week to see if it'll happen then. But not today. Not today, Satan. Not today, Spider Satan. We will not be... Well, not yet. I guess there's still time in the night. I guess there's still time to grab a spider before the night is over. I have confidence. I have confidence in my ability. I have confidence in the ability for things to go wrong. Confidence in the fact that things can, in fact, go wrong. That's what I have confidence in. That's what I have all the confidence in. Super great. Because things do go wrong. And people don't always like that. I sometimes get in an argument that we should believe in God because there's no hope without a God. There's no hope in a life without a God. We'll all just die in the end, and it'll all be over, and it'll all suck. And to that I say, sucks. And it's not my favorite answer to give. But the fact of the matter is, life sucks sometimes. And just because you want there to be a God, because if there is a God, the sucky things, don't have to be final. Death doesn't have to have the final victory. There's some grander plan at play. There's some divine something looking out for people and taking care of people, and everything is going according to his plan. It's all great and nice and comforting, but that doesn't make it fact. That doesn't make it... doesn't mean that's how it has to be. I have often said, I like the idea of there being something else. Maybe not any of the gods of the religions that have been proposed thus far, but something else. I do enjoy the idea of there being some higher entity who somehow, looking at the mess that is the world, has things under control. I definitely see the appeal. It's just that the appeal to the idea is not evidence of said idea being a thing in reality. Just because you like the idea of something doesn't mean it has to be so. And the opposite is true. Just because you don't like something doesn't mean it can't be so. I dislike Christianity. I am completely opposed to the Christian God. But if the Christian God is real, doesn't matter what I think, doesn't matter how much I like it or dislike it. Much like if there isn't a God, there's no amount of wanting there to be a God that's going to put a God there. This wanting, this desire, this, well, we don't have hope if there isn't a God, and death gets the final victory. Yeah. Sucks, and I'm not really gonna argue. It sucks. Life sucks sometimes. That is a fact. And this is the same person who recently said something along the lines of, let me just pull up his thing. I have it right here. It's a great message of hope. There being something else out there is a great message of hope. Hello. Love your glasses. Thank you. And they have a whole thing, but at the end here, it says, it's a great message of hope, but some people don't need hope because things are just fine for them now. We call them atheists. That's not a good representation of anything. There are many atheists who are suffering or who know what pain is. I'm not saying that I, win first place at all in terms of people who have suffered, but I know what pain is. I know what it's like to suffer and for things to not go your way. I'm not an atheist because my life is going great and because everything's just fine, so I don't need this hope that a God gives. That's not why I'm an atheist. That's not why a lot of people are atheists. The fact is, whether we like it or not, there is no reason to believe that there is anything else out there. There isn't. That's reality. That's accepting reality. Hello. For what it is. And some of us are able to see that there is no evidence and accept that, hey, it's not looking great. And it's not about, oh, my life is just so perfect, so I don't need the hope and the love and stuff that Jesus might give because I'm doing just fine on my own. No, that is just not a good representation of atheists across the board. And in much the same way, it also seems to imply that people who do believe in God, things aren't going well. So they are able to hold on to that hope of something else. There are a lot of people who believe in God whose lives are going well. It's not an atheist's lives are going great or not great versus Christians' lives going great or not great. It's people's lives are people's lives, and they have ups and downs, and some people's lives have better, some people's lives are better than others, and some Christians have good lives, some atheists have good lives, some Christians have terrible lives, some atheists have good lives, and everywhere in between. So it's not, and this person has also called me out for, along the same vein of his last comment, or their last comment, I don't know the gender, I guess, that it's a privileged position to say that, whether you want to hope for something to be there or not, no matter how much you want something to be there, that doesn't put it there. Is that's a position of privilege because everything in your life is going great. No, it's not. I've learned to accept the very harsh reality that life sucks sometimes. And life has sucked in my life on many occasions, and it has sucked greatly for many other people's lives in many other occasions. So it's just, it's not good. It's not a good argument. My privilege or lack thereof, or how well my life is going, really doesn't play much of a role in whether or not I believe in God. You get down with, I don't know what that is. Should I know what that is? Is that something I should block you for saying? I'm not hip with the terms. Are you putting things in chat that's not supposed to go in chat? I have no idea what it is. Maybe you are, maybe you're not. Oh, no, I've never heard of that person, I'm gonna be honest with you. Maybe they have good music. I don't know. Give it a try. Might have to. I asked a question recently. What fruits should we expect to see from a true Christian? And my wording was intentional there. And a lot of people were listing the fruits of the Holy Spirit: charity, joy, peace, patience, all this stuff. I don't know if those are the fruits of the Spirit, but that's what fruits that we're supposed to see listed in the Bible. Charity, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, generosity, gentleness, faithfulness, modesty, self-control, and chastity. You can have all of this without a God. Even faithfulness, you can be faithful to somebody, or have faith in other things that aren't God's. So you can have, this isn't stuff that's pertains only to Christians. Kitten. And there are a lot of Christians who don't have those things, who are lacking one or many more of those things. I've been trying to ask more questions. I'm trying to get more just posts of just asking questions and whatnot. And that question was more of a follow-up to my question of what exactly is Christianity and what does it mean to be a true Christian? And a lot of people just said someone who follows Jesus or believes in the resurrection. That leaves a lot open to a lot of other things. That leaves like so much open, and I feel like Christianity is supposed to be a little bit more uniform than that, with people following a little bit more rules than that. But maybe that's just me. It's like some people say it's believing in the resurrection, believing in Jesus. All right, I believe. I mean, I don't, but if I did, then I'm saved. Gotta log off for the night. Try change your life. I might just have to. Thanks for stopping by. Have a good one. Gay culture can't survive generation to generation without direct outreach involvement. Religion can. Big difference. What? Gay culture can't survive religion can't survive culture to culture without direct outreach involvement, like advocacy, like apologetics and stuff. Religion does that. And if we all stopped that for a generation or two, religion would probably just kind of go away. Or the religions that we have would probably go away for the most part. We'd probably end up making new ones because we like to do that. But gay culture can't survive. We don't turn people gay. Gay people are just born gay and are just kind of gay throughout their lives. It's just like, gay people are always going to exist. It has nothing to do with outreach from the current gay culture. Yes, outreach from the current gay culture can help people be themselves and find themselves and discover and accept things about themselves and come out of the closet and whatnot, but it does not in any way, shape, or form turn people gay. And somebody responded to the gay culture comment. That is incorrect. Religion would die in 3 generations if folks abandon it, but gay people keep getting born. Yeah. Yeah. It's just not how it works. God doesn't really seem to be coming down and gracing people with his presence or doing any kind of divine revelation that we can see. So he's not pulling his weight. He's expecting all of his pawns to do it, which is so interesting to me. People think that they need to push religion on others, go out and preach and indoctrinate kids and manipulate people with fear and pass laws following Christianity. That's a lot of human work for the creator God being of the universe. Is your God so pathetic and helpless that he has to send out his pawns to go and do the work for him. Because after all, Jesus said that if a town or people don't accept you, take over the town and force my laws upon that town as the law of the land. That's what Jesus said. He absolutely didn't say anything like, I don't know, leave them the fuck alone and I'll sort them out later. That's not Jesus' teaching. But a lot of Christians don't know Jesus' teachings or care about Jesus' teachings or only care about certain of Jesus' teachings. What can you do? I mean, if you're going to cherry pick, at least cherry pick good stuff. You know, even the God of the Old Testament, which I know is the same God as Jesus, but we like to separate it out as like, no, Jesus is the nice guy and God was a little harsh. They're the same person. They're the exact same person. But even in the Old Testament representation of God, this terrible warlord, bloodthirsty, genocidal warlord, even he's sitting here like, yeah, be nice to the immigrants that are among you. Yeah, feed the poor, all that stuff. And Jesus is like, yeah, be nice to the immigrants and feed the poor. And then today's Christians in the U.S. are like, yeah, we're not going to do that. Don't really need to do that. Like, if you're going to cherry pick parts of the Bible, at least, because a lot of Christians, I'm going on rants now because chat's not going. What can you do? But there are a lot of Christians, and I say a lot. This is not a blanket statement about Christians. But there are a lot of Christians who like to cherry pick the parts of the Bible that allow them to continue to be terrible human beings versus parts of the Bible that allow them to be wonderful human beings and encourage them to be wonderful human beings. They'll even go so far as to twist and turn parts of the Bible to support their bigotry and their desire to harm other people. And completely ignore the parts where say you need to feed the poor. You need to help the immigrant. You need to feed the hungry. You need to clothe the naked. You know, you need to give alms, all of this stuff. Just completely ignore stuff. It's a kitten. He's a kitty. He's a kitty. It's just interesting to me. It's interesting. Christianity could be better. And it could be a better thing for the world, a better light for the world. And it's not. And we have the version that we have here. I also have... Oh, where'd it go? There it is. I made a post recently arguing that homosexual relationships are basically the same thing as heterosexual relationships. Some are just about what happens in the bedroom, but not all of them. A lot of homosexual relationships, much like heterosexual relationships, have crushes, liking someone, having feelings for someone, going on dates, falling in love, getting in fights, making up, seeing, you know, if this person is the one, falling in love with one another, wanting to spend the rest of your lives with this person, hopefully being able to get married and spend the rest of your lives with them. It has a lot of the same stuff as heterosexual relationships. And somebody responded, who I've invited them to the stream. This is over on Instagram. I've invited them over to YouTube. They haven't accepted the invite for as far as I can see, and they've been pretty close to getting banned a couple of times, though. We'll see. We'll see. You know, the olive branch has been extended, and we'll see. We'll see if they take it. No. No. To start with, no. Period. For one, marriage is more than just love. Correct. But love should be pretty important for marriage. Marriage is a covenant between a man and a woman designed both for romantic love and for bringing up the next generation. That doesn't have to be all that it is. Yeah, for romance, yes, true, yes, and bringing up the next generation, sure. You don't have to have kids. It's not like a requirement. But for romantic love, yeah, I guess that is a big part of it. Both of these aspects are incomplete and arguably absent from homosexual relationships. Homosexual people can adopt kids, first off. And second, there are gay couples who have the biological parts between them to reproduce. You can still have two non-straight people in a happy, loving relationship with each other and have kids. And again, you don't need to have kids. You don't need to have kids. Both of these aspects are incomplete and arguably absent from homosexual relationships. Romantic love, absent from homosexual relationships. Romantic love is more than just care or lust. I don't know if you need to bring the word lust into it, but love's one of those words that, like, you think you know what it is, and then somebody asks you to define it, and you're just like, I don't really know how to define that. But it is love. It's wanting to be with someone, wanting to be near someone, wanting to give everything you have for them. It is kindness and care and respect and love. I know I just used love in my definition of love, but, it's something more than just care and lust. And then they say it is a spiritual reality that is unique between men and women. It is this love, this proper romance, what we need to have a really genuine, good connection between two people can happen in homosexual relationships. It can. The spiritual part, we have no evidence for anything spiritual. So you gotta demonstrate that the spiritual exists, and if you can't, I don't care. I don't care. The only, capitalization only, way your argument even has a chance of working is if you assume naturalism and can therefore ignore the spiritual reality of romantic love. It's not, you haven't demonstrated a spiritual reality. And then it's gatekeeping and restricting love with spirituality, something we have no evidence of, because it doesn't fit what you, this guy's almost been banned a couple of times. Don't ask me why I haven't, I choose who gets to continue speaking and who doesn't. And a lot of people like him would be banned pretty quickly. But, I don't know. Something about his wording sometimes. I feel like he's someone that you can have a conversation with. And he likes having full, lengthy, 100-piece conversations with people. So, I said, oh, bother. I said, are you really gatekeeping and restricting love with something we have no evidence of, like spirituality? They gave me a couple things. They gave me a couple counter arguments that I won't go through. I gave a counter argument, and then joined them, invited them to join my YouTube live stream. I can give them a mic and we can talk about it. They then responded to my argument without any kind of mention of my offer, so they just kind of ignored it, like they're hoping to just kind of avoid having to have a sit down not face to face, but voice to voice, not in the chat's conversation. He hadn't showed up yet, and he's still just out there duking with people, spreading homophobia and transphobia. And I'm watching him very closely. I would love to be able to have a talk with him. I would. I really would. I've offered that branch to a couple of other people, including somebody who usually interacts a lot in my Instagram, but they do so much more civilly. And when I offered, when I said it again, when I invited them to the YouTube live, they're like, "Oh, I didn't know you had a YouTube," and they seemed interested. And then maybe now they just, it's, I usually do it 1 day a week, and it's in the middle of the week, so it's, if they can't come over, they can't come over. But at least acknowledged, and they're a lot more civil. But this dude, and he's having a whole argument. I haven't read it all, cause no, but he's having a whole argument for like 2 other people, trying to use the Bible and spirituality and philosophy as like solid evidence grounding as to why we should believe in God and spirituality and whatnot, and it doesn't work. It's pretty cool how like we exist though, right? Like our chances of that are astronomical, yes. That astronomical figure, I think, points to some sentience in the universe. So we don't have any other universes to compare to, so we have no idea how it could have been different. So as far as we know, the odds of this happening, because we are just, it seems, a natural process of the universe. And it seems, just with how the universe we live in is, that this was an inevitable result of us coming about eventually. It seems, for all we know, that the odds are 100%. We don't have any other universes to compare to get any kind of odds from. Hello, moral compass. So we don't know. And also, even if the odds seem low, they can still happen, which is pretty cool. And they can still happen without some divine influence. So I don't know if that one will quite do it for me. Peanut. Okay. Peanut. What are you doing? What are you doing? Who knows? Also, if the universe was different at all, but like some kind of sentient life could still come about, I imagine they would come up with ideas of gods and religions and would probably be sitting here saying the same thing. We're just so perfectly made. If it was any different, it would be insanity and, all this stuff. So it kind of just sounds like the universe made sentience somehow. And now that sentience holds itself on a pedestal, perhaps higher than it should. I'm petting a cat. That's why I'm... There's a kitty cat on the floor. Peanut. 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 Marriage is a biblical term. It should be called a civil union. I also think people who get married at a courthouse should call it a civil union. Just my thoughts. Sure, we can suck the fun and the love and the color out of everything. because it doesn't have your magic pixie dust on it. Why not? What do you think about the development of AGI? I don't know what that is off the top of my head. AGI? Oh, artificial general intelligence. Oh, so just like AI, general AI. Type of AI that could match and surpass human intelligence in virtually all cognitive tasks, as opposed to narrow AI. Okay. I got you. It can be cool. It can be advantageous. And it can not. I mean, the AI situation kind of sucks right now anyway, because, and I'm sure you've heard a lot of people say this, I'm just repeating it because I agree. AI should be doing the less fun stuff and the more menial tasks, while humans get to be more creative and innovative. But instead, AI is doing art and creative stuff. Not well, I might add, while humans have to do all of the dumb, mindless grunt work. So already it's not off to a good start, but I don't know. It can be good, can be bad. For a lot of reasons. And I see AI... Oh, this is a whole different discussion. You know, AI deep fakes and fake videos and fake photos that, to me, and my perhaps untrained eye, are getting harder and harder to distinguish from reality. Maybe some AI takeover, like in the Matrix. Or just, I don't know. I also would compare it to like just the internet in general. It can be a great tool for learning and discovery on our own, having a vast pool of knowledge that we can grab from, but it can be misused and incorrect stuff can be put into it and things can go wrong, just like the internet. So, I don't know. Cautiously watching, I think is how I feel about the development. I'm cautiously watching. Even without other universes to compare to, the constants like gravity and the complexity of life still point to being intentional, right? Like meaning doesn't rely solely on comparison. Are you familiar with the puddle analogy? Would be my first thing, and I can explain that to you if you want. Gravity is just the way that the universe works. If it was any different, life maybe wouldn't have evolved at all, or maybe life would have just evolved to be something different. Complexity of life isn't necessarily the hallmark of a designer. There's also some really stupid design flaws in the human body and in other creatures that I don't know. I, as a peasant in the eyes of this god, feel like design could have been done better. But the puddle analogy is this idea of a pothole in the road, and it rains, and the pothole fills up with water, so you have a puddle. Now, say that puddle gained sentience, gained consciousness. It would sit there, possibly thinking, look at this hole. This hole was designed perfectly to fit me. I fit perfectly inside of this hole. Therefore, there has to have been some kind of design or some kind of design, something. Everything's been set right exactly as it should be. And the sun comes out, and it starts drying up the puddle, and the puddle starts shrinking and shrinking, but it's fine, because this hole was designed. There's some kind of design, there's some kind of grand plan, everything is as it should be. So even though, yes, I'm disappearing, everything's gonna be fine. Like, I'm not disappearing, everything's great. and then the puddle, much to its surprise, disappears. It's an analogy that speaks to the mistake of people thinking everything was perfectly designed with them in mind, versus us evolving to fit the environment that we found ourselves in. Us adapting and evolving and adapting to fit Earth with its atmospheric pressure, with its gravity, with its position from the sun, with its vegetation, with its, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The idea of, rather than this hole was designed for the puddle, water poured into the hole and molded into the shape of what the hole was. It's a nice little analogy. And I probably butchered some part of it, but I think I got it mostly right. The dangers of me trying to remember and explain stuff off the top of my head, even though there's concepts that I've engaged with and read about and whatnot a number of times. That doesn't matter. My brain doesn't work like that. My brain doesn't hold on to information like that. It should, but it doesn't. And it's so much fun. It's so great, especially for someone who's trying to learn everything they can about the world of Christian versus atheist apologetics. And I'm trying to cram so much stuff inside my brain, and my brain keeps kicking shit out if it's not used for a week or two. Just get rid of it, get rid of it. Some of the most popular arguments for the existence of a God people will bring up, and I'll need them to remind me what it is, or I'll have to go and Google it real quick. And like a few words will remind me what it is, but I still need that reminder because I don't remember off the top of my head what it is. Or I'll just ask something I've been trying to do because I think it's a good idea. One, hi Taylor, I love you too. Because one, it helps me, I don't need to remember. But two, it helps give an individual perspective of the person in chat. When somebody brings up an argument, asking them to explain what it is themselves. That way, not only do I get a refresher from you, but you might have a slightly different version of, not like anyone particular, but like the general you, might have a slightly different perspective of a certain argument. And I don't want to argue with this steel man of like what the argument is or what I think the argument is. I'll let the person present the argument, refresh my brain on what it is, maybe add some of their bits to it, and we can go from there. And now we're not engaging with this like third party thing that perhaps neither of us have the best understanding of. Now I'm engaging with this person's understanding of the argument and their version of this argument that they want to bring forth to me. And I'm engaging with this person now, and it's much more better back and forth. And again, yes, it saves me from having to like quickly Google, like, I don't know what that is, even though I do, but I don't. I can be sly and be like, because you refresh me on that, or can you refresh the audience? They might not know what that is. Can you refresh? Just be sly about it. Make myself look a little better. Even though I don't like being deceptive, which is why I'm blurting it out. I'm blurting out all my secrets right now. But it does, like I said, serve as a good reminder for me of what the argument is, while allowing them to present it as they wish to present it. I do think it's just a better way of doing it. I feel like if the universe had no intention, it wouldn't be rational to any intelligent minds at all, revealing mathematical laws instead of chaos, though, right? Mathematical laws are just kind of how the universe works, though. If the universe worked in any different way, our mathematical laws would be different, assuming we would still be here. Rationality to intelligent minds, our rationality is just us understanding the universe as it works. If the universe worked differently, reason and things would work differently. And whenever someone brings up chaos, the universe is pretty chaotic. the beginning of the solar system and all solar systems was pretty chaotic. A lot of just shit colliding into each other, hitting each other, entire planets being yeeted out of the solar system. I mean, if you look at things like the moon and just see all of the craters on it, it's because shit hits it. Shit hits Earth all the time. It's just usually not big enough to do anything. But every now and then something does even reach the ground. So there is a lot of chaos when a star explodes and takes everything with it. Especially if a star dies in such a way that it produces a black hole. That's fucking insane. That's pretty chaotic. So I guess we would need to settle on definitions of chaos versus order. And is that order a design, or is it just how the universe works? I think chaos is just complexity that we haven't understood yet. Could be. Could be. But we would still just need to get there to that understanding. Would you marry your girlfriend if her bad video goes viral? Or would you divorce your wife if her video goes viral? Would you marry your girlfriend if her bad video goes viral? Sure. Or would you divorce your wife if her video goes viral? No. I don't base my love for my person and who I want to spend the rest of my life with on a video. I guess it depends on the video. If it's them saying some really fucked up shit that reveals something terrible about their character, sure. I would hope that after, I mean, just my wife, I've been with my wife for 14 years. I would hope, I would be shocked if she came out with a video that just was her just spouting some fucked up shit. It would be completely out of left field, and I feel like it'd be something that I would have experienced prior to this point. So, not really concerned about, not really concerned about that. Not really. What if it's a video made through hidden camera of her changing? What if it's a video made through a hidden camera of her changing? So, like, still the answer is no, but do you mean if somebody else filmed her changing without her permission, would I divorce her? No. Or if she filmed herself? No. If she filmed herself, I would have to talk to her and just be like, hey, what's going on? Just because the way my wife and I's relationship works, we kind of have an understanding that we're not just going to put our bodies out on the internet like that. But if somebody else does it, that has nothing to do with her. That's not her fault. If our minds evolved to fit chaos, why does math, a purely rational system, describe the universe so well? Because the universe does work. There is a certain order to it. I'll grant you that. And I'm sorry if I didn't say that earlier. It does work in a certain specific way. And math is just our way of understanding how it works. We've learned, I mean, there's so much that we don't know. We haven't even scratched the surface, but we've learned to speak the language of the universe and understand what the universe is and how it works and whatnot. I guess is one way to put it. So math, it's like, I can describe this cup. It's a green cup with flowers on it, and water in it. How can I describe this cup so well? How do those descriptors fit this cup so well? And this cup must be perfect. Or I'm just looking at the cup. I'm studying and observing the cup and reporting my findings and articulating the words and whatnot that describe the cup. And I know that's an oversimplification, but hopefully that kind of helps get my thoughts across. But people will call her a slut and all sorts of shit after that, bro. Even if it's not her mistake, how would you tolerate that? I'd throw hands with people, first off. And if somebody else is filming her changing, they shouldn't call her a slut. If she wants to put herself out there changing, again, that'd be something that we would have to talk about. But that's her choice. I still don't think slut should be a thing that we should just throw out at anybody, even porn stars. But yeah, I wouldn't go after her. If our minds evolved to fit the... No, you already put that. Oh, YouTube. My chat moved, and I thought somebody put something in, and no, someone retracted a message. I got confused. Yeah, I wouldn't tolerate people mistreating my wife, and I don't. If you've seen some of my past live streams, I don't tolerate that. But I can tolerate my wife if someone films her and then puts that video out, because that's, again, not her fault. There's a choo-choo train. Choo-choo train going by. Choo. Choo-choo. Choo-choo-choo. Making train noises to fill the silence. I ask because there are many self-unalive cases, sorry, it's a sensitive word for some people, of girls due to incidents like that. I feel bad. Well, we should feel bad. It's a terrible thing. And you're right, you know, there are instances like that. Unfortunately, the internet is a terrible place with terrible people. Hi, Mixed. And yeah, we should feel bad, and we should do what we can to protect girls when that stuff happens to them, and ideally protect them from that happening to them to begin with. But yeah, you know, definitely just be on their side. Be on their side, I think would be a good way to put it. Be on the side of the victim and help them in whatever way we can. What caused you to leave theism or whatever specific religion you were? Diving into my studies to try to strengthen my faith. I was a Christian, a devout Christian the vast majority of my life. I wanted to become an apologist to spread and defend my faith and convert the world if I could, you know, or, you know, as far as I could go. You know, I had, you know, more realistic goals, but like if I could convert the world, you know, that would have been cool. And diving into my studies, taking a closer look, learning more about it, revealed that, one, the religion was messed up, but two, spiritual beliefs, theism in general, we have no reason to believe in a god or anything supernatural like that. So, we don't get to choose what we believe. And once I was faced with the reality, I mean, it took some deconstructing, but once I was faced with the reality that we really just have no reason to believe this stuff, it became impossible for me to believe it. Well, like a book, for example, isn't conscious, but its structure suggests an author, like the universe is rational, discoverable, and consistent, reflecting a design. The problem is we're not talking about books. We know that books, we know how books are made. People make books and write books. We can map out that entire process start to finish. We can't do that with the universe. We have no idea how the universe was made, so we can't just map it out. I can't observe a God existing, creating a universe and you know, X, Y, and Z. So it's never good. It's like you know, every building has a builder, every painting has a painter. They're just not good analogies for a universe, because we don't have that evidence of what caused the universe or anything like that. And there are things that go weird in the universe all of the time, and that don't work the way that we would expect them to. It's a little bit more we've discovered boxes to put things in, to categorize things in, and math to explain things. The universe doesn't really give a shit about that, and it likes to kind of break what our understanding is on a pretty regular basis. So I don't know. I do not believe in life after death. Have a great day, mate. Have a great day, Muhammad. Thank you for stopping by. Not that the universe is itself sentient, but that it was made by a sentient creator, I think. Sorry if I didn't say it clearly. No, you said it perfectly clearly. You're fine. You are just fine. Peanut's been liking to lay at my feet lately. Like, I'll be sitting on the couch and she'll just be like laying on the floor next to the couch. And she's just laying. I mean, I have created y'all should see, I have created a nice cozy little like dark nook in here under the desk. You know, the table, couch, the desk itself. You know, there's a nice little dark hidey hole for the kitten. I don't even know if she's sent her on screen. I see something white on the screen, so I assume that's her. Kitten. But she does have a nice little hidey hole. Could I ask why you don't believe in life after death? I have no reason to. And I'm sorry if that's a terribly oversimplistic answer, but that's what it is. I have no reason to believe it. So how can I believe it? I would like there to be something else after death. I would like there to be some kind of afterlife. I would love there to be spiritual stuff, spirits, ghosts, spiritual energies, maybe even a god. I'd be all for it, but the world doesn't really care what we want or not. Has anyone tried to destroy your name, reputation, or character? If yes, how did you deal with it? Not in any big notable ways. He's growing a beard. It comes and goes. I don't have I can grow a pretty good beard, I think. I prefer to have it clean shaven, but one, I don't have time to shave it every 2 or 3 days to keep it clean shaven, and two, it's getting cold where I am, and this helps keep me a little bit warmer. But yeah, Mohammed, nobody's really tried to destroy my reputation. At least not in any big ways. People have tried to like talk shit and like spread rumors and stuff, and I've just kind of shrugged it off. And again, it hasn't been in any big life-changing ways, so maybe, you know, that's not something I can speak to. But in the small ways, it's I'm trying to get away from proving myself to people. I'm trying to get away from what other people think of me. I can set the record straight to anyone who asks, but apart from that, I know who I am. And rumors spread like wildfire, and ignorant misinformation often spreads way faster than facts can, so you can't really keep up with it anyway. So you just accept it and move on, I guess. At least that's what I've done in some of the smaller ways it's affected me. Mix, I'm gonna love my children regardless. I'm just gonna love my children regardless. But no, it's not a bad beard. It's not bad. I can grow a beard. Well, I don't know, because not even at all related to faith and spirituality, existence in and of itself is infinite. So reasonably, death cannot go on forever. At some point, we'll have other experiences. It depends on what we are. So, because us, our consciousness, our thoughts, our feelings, our, the thing that is articulating and controlling the meat puppet to talk to you right now. What is that, is the question. Because it seems like the best explanation we have is that our consciousness, thoughts, memories, emotions, all that stuff are chemical reactions in the brain. And when the brain stops doing its thing, those chemical reactions just kind of stop. They just stop, Where does a fire go when you blow out a candle? It just kind of goes away. Yes, there's still some energy and matter from that reaction, but the reaction is no longer occurring. The fire is no longer there. So what happens when that chemical reaction just stops? I think if that were the case, we would essentially, from our perspective, cease to exist. Because the us, the we, the consciousness, seems to just be chemical reaction, a flame on a candle. What resources did you use to come to the conclusion that God doesn't need to exist? Come to the conclusion that God doesn't need to exist. I don't know if I would necessarily make that claim. Just my stance is I have no reason to believe that there is a God. So I'm just not convinced. I don't believe. I lack belief in a God, however you'd want to put it. The resources, the Bible, religious studies classes in school, listening to debates and atheist activists and Christian activists and theist activists and Muslim activists and whatnot, other religious books, reading other religious books, the Quran, the Bhagavad Gita, the Tao Te Ching, things of the like, and looking at some of those religions, looking at scientific understandings, our scientific explanations for how things work, just a lot of things. I think those cover some of the main bits, and just looking at all of that, I don't see reason to believe that there is a God. So I don't have that reason. If we don't even consider spirituality, throughout infinite time, the exact atomic configurations that formed our consciousness will have to repeat. If somebody made a perfect clone of you, are you that clone? If you separate the two of you, are you experiencing everything? My hands aren't in the shot. Are you experiencing everything that the clone is experiencing? Or are they now their own separate entity, living their own lives? And if you die, would they continue on? And would that consciousness transfer? I don't think so. So even if the configurations can be the exact same, it still wouldn't be you. It still wouldn't quite be, I don't think, a continuation of your consciousness, a direct continuation. Would you agree that Islam has had a more negative impact on the world compared to Christianity, compared to one another? I think they're both pretty awful, and I'm not really interested in this idea of like, well, this one's worse, so therefore, no, they're both terrible. And it doesn't really matter which one is worse, honestly. I can say they're both terrible. I don't have to pick, the lesser of the two evils or anything. If there was a God, would people be better? If there was a God, would people be better? If there is a God, people would be the exact same as they are now. If there's not a God, people would be the exact same as they are now. Because there either is or is not a God, whatever the case may be. this is how it is. So if there's not a God, and suddenly there was one, just for the sake of the question, I have no idea what that would do to reality. Just like if there is a God and this reality is the result of there being a God, I have no idea what a reality without a God would look like, as opposed to that. I don't know what alternate realities would look like. Like Legos, if you have some on your desk after a given amount of time, you have to make the exact same shapes, especially if made from the exact same atoms in the exact same configuration. It would have to be the same, right? The same, but again, going back to my clone analogy, if somebody makes a perfect exact clone of you, are you experiencing that clone's lives? If we put you in the US and ship the clone all the way out to Europe, are you living in Europe? If somebody came up to you in the US and are like, hey, what did Europe you have for breakfast today? Without communicating with the Europe you, would you be able to answer that question? Are your consciousness shared? Is there a connection between your consciousness and theirs, or do you still remain two separate entities? Drew, how are you? Can't believe I found you live. Doing all right. Doing all right. Glad you're here. So why not talking to some... I'm sorry. So why not talking to some progress and not regurgitating same points again and again? What do you mean? Well, the clone scenario, they're made out of separate atoms. Oh, so the same atoms could... Ooh. 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 No, okay. No, I think I misunderstood at some point. If the exact same atoms, the exact same everything, not a clone, but the exact same everything came together, would there be a continuation of your previous consciousness? I love that question, Zach. I love that question. Taylor.
Hi.
My loving wife.
Who just got home?
Who just got home. If, and this is an if the universe is infinite and atoms will continue to rearrange in every single configuration to the point where they will eventually rearrange to the exact same configuration they are now with you and the world and everything. So you later on are remade with the exact same atoms. If, would your consciousness be able to continue from this to that? Because it's the exact same atoms given the same things.
That's a good question.
I like it. I kind of like it.
That's a good question.
I'm waiting for somebody to come in and absolutely squish it and be like, no, it's dumb and here's why. But I do like it. Hello. No, Zachary, I do like that. I mean, it's really rare, but it'll have to happen indefinitely throughout infinite times. It does depend on the future of the universe, like what the universe is going to do afterwards. Because it wouldn't just be like you being made perfectly again. It would have to be everything being made perfect enough again to where you could live and have a life on this planet and whatnot. Or some planet or whatever. But still, yeah. I don't know what the universe is going to do in the future. I have no idea, if the universe has some kind of end. If we're going to have the heat death where... nothing can ever happen again or whatever, I don't know. But in a scenario where the atoms are constantly rearranging, and if they do eventually reconfigure properly, what would that be? What would that be? That's a great question. Thank you for bringing that question up. I love it. I don't have the answer.
Or if it's happening and we haven't even noticed it.
What if it's already happened?
What if it's already happened?
What if it has already happened and we haven't even noticed it? I like it. I like it, Zach. I'm sorry it took me so long to understand what you were asking. That's my fault. But I like it. Can I ask a question off this God issue? Yes. Week has been all right. Favorite ice cream? I switch. I flip around. Right now, I think I'm just vibing with vanilla. I'm going to be honest with you. No, it's dumb because consciousness is animated by a soul. It's not just atoms, and even if the atoms were in the exact same, the person would be different. Well, we're taking the spiritual aspect out of it. Like if our consciousness is just chemical reactions in the brain. So we're taking the soul aspect, because if there is a soul, because the whole conversation started with an afterlife, of there being like an afterlife. Could there be a continuation of this life if the atoms are arranged properly? If there's a soul, that answers the question. Obviously there would be some kind of afterlife. The soul has to go somewhere, and it can be plugged into whatever body, some divine being wants to plug it into in the future, assuming there is a divine being. But we're taking the soul aspect out of it. We're just looking at if there wasn't a soul. Which I know you came late to that conversation, so it's not your fault if you don't have the full context. I will probably end the live stream soon, just a warning. Taylor's not feeling good.
No, I'm not.
Yeah, it is currently... no, it isn't. Yeah, it is. No, it isn't. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. 9:47, where I'm at right now. And I have to get up at 5 to go to work for like an hour on my day off.
Stupid.
Because important higher up people are coming into my store to inspect it, and I am the leader of a department, so I have to do one last check of my department to make sure it's all looking good. So yeah. So I'm the guy who tends to say that atheism is a religion. I define religion broadly as a belief system, and so I include atheism. You don't. Why? Atheism's not a belief system. Atheism's not a belief system, and I wouldn't agree with religion being solely defined as a belief system. Because I don't think, being a Republican or a Democrat isn't a religion. Religion usually has some kind of spirituality, some kind of deeper something, oftentimes a God. There's a little bit more to it. The exact definition of religion, it's something we can definitely ask and come up with. What really is a religion? What makes a religion? But I don't think it's as simple as a system of beliefs, and atheism is not a system of beliefs. It's just the lack of a belief. It's the lack of a belief of a certain thing. If this is our only life, will you regret dying never having been with a man romantically? Maybe.
I mean, once I die, all bets are off. You can go have your
That is true. That is true.
But,
And that's not the
don't
sociological definition. I don't know anyone who would officially, honestly describe religion as just a system of beliefs. It was a serious question. No, I think I'm okay. I don't necessarily need it. I think I can live a long, happy life without being with a man romantically. I think I'll be alright. I guess if the atoms thing was real, it'd point to reincarnation more than anything. I'm Catholic, but I think that God doesn't punish people for disbelief. After all, how is anyone supposed to know? It's a fair question. How is anyone supposed to know? I like to say, especially with the Christian God, an all-knowing God would know what it would take to convince me that he's real. An all-powerful God would be able to do whatever it takes to convince me, which he knows how to do it, so he would be able to act upon it. And an all-loving God who wants to have a relationship with me would do what is necessary to at least convince me that he's real. Because belief isn't a violation of free will. You know, whether you believe in something or not isn't something that you have a choice of to begin with. So I think he should at least present himself as an option, be like, hey, I am real and this is who I am. And then I can decide whether or not to follow him. But if he's not even gonna give me a reason to believe in him, it's not my fault. And the Adams thing does kind of sound like reincarnation, but I like the idea of reincarnation, so maybe that's another reason the question kind of pinged nicely for me. Well, but the lack of a belief turns into beliefs. There is no proof of an afterlife. What do you... I'm sorry.
But you believe.
But you believe there isn't one, right? Wrong? No. I would not make any kind of positive claim that there isn't one. I'm just not convinced. That is not saying I don't believe that there is one is different from saying I don't believe there is one or I don't think there is one. They're not quite the same thing. And especially I would never claim that there is or is not one. Just we don't have any reason to believe in one, so I don't believe in one. Ultimately, I don't know. I don't know. But the default position on any topic is disbelief. That's the default, is disbelief. Not believing in something unless we have warrant to believe it.
It's literally the lack of a belief.
Yeah, it's a belief. It's just the lack of a belief. I'm not claiming that there isn't a God. I just don't have a reason to believe that there is one. You're stronger than me. Well, hopefully you can find a man then. Hopefully you can cross that bucket list item off.
You're literally the only person. Right. I had you on just in the car while I was driving home. I heard a lot of talking about me.
Yeah, someone brought up a good. It was a weird question that I was like hesitant of, but they had a good reason for bringing it up. Just bringing up. Well, I mean, you heard it. You heard the conversation. Women that have like their stuff exposed on the internet and they get slut shamed and bullied even though they didn't do it. Not buying that, my friend. You can't just say no afterlife is the standard.
That's not what you're saying.
It's not necessarily what I'm saying. Is you don't believe in something unless you have reason to believe it. The default position is not believing until you have reason to believe. It's not believing until you can disprove it. Because otherwise we would believe in everything. And I would like to see people try to disprove Thor or Zeus or my rainbow space cat or Bigfoot or aliens or whatever else. There might be extraterrestrial life. Stuff like that. There are things that we can't necessarily disprove. So the only logical stance would be a default of disbelief. Not believing in something until you have reason to believe it. That's the only logical default, I think. Because otherwise, if it's not, the two start with believing everything until you can disprove, or start with believing nothing until you can prove, otherwise it's a mix match. And then how do you decide what gets to have the default of belief and what gets to have the default of disbelief? It's just...
You're also not over here making claims saying that there is no afterlife or there is no God. You just don't believe that there's one, but you're not claiming to know that there is or is not one.
Correct. Well, what exactly is the claim that Thor and Bigfoot and the Rainbow Space Cat do? Nothing. A God being hope, even... I'm sorry. Well, what exactly is the claim that Thor and Bigfoot and Rainbow Space Cat do? Bigfoot is the ape-man stomping around in the woods doing his ape-man stuff. Thor and Space Cat are gods, are different gods, different from what is usually worshipped today. A god brings hope. Thor can bring hope. And why does that matter? I like to think that God is sentient, embodying peace, love, and truth across any religion. That's the constant. Really, I think we're all just talking to the same dude. Or not dude, I guess. Just both, or all, I guess. Maybe. And just with our specification, with our specific descriptions of it, we've varied and gotten it wrong and had different interpretations to where they're completely different, separate entities. I don't know. Chris Hemsworth brings me hope. Hey, bro, I just want to join you to talk one of these days, God willing. How do I do that? So a lot of my streams, I'll put a Discord link, and you can join that and hop in a voice call with me. I didn't feel like doing that tonight. I'm tired. It's late. I have to be up in 7 hours, and I'm still on a live stream. And I'm one of those people who really needs like 8 to 9 hours of sleep to function. So like, and I'm already just tired and exhausted. So I just kind of didn't feel like having the Discord open tonight. And sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. But yeah, that's a way that you can have a verbal conversation with me. What's up? Ultimate skepticism was tried, and Descartes still ended up with a god, right? I'm not familiar. Does your stream go live at 9:30 Central or something else? You know, some of you are joining at a bit of a... No, because I did... I was wondering if... we just did the time change here in the U.S. I know not everybody that I follow is in the U.S., but what probably threw you guys off today is I went live at 8:40 because I have to get up at 5 tomorrow. So I don't want to be up until 11 o'clock midnight, but I still want to have like an hour or so long stream. So I went live early tonight, and I didn't tell you, as I often would, and I'm sorry.
How dare you?
I've thrown you for a loop. I've betrayed your trust. I have been vocal about that in the past. You know, hey, I'm going live early. Just kind of not tonight. Meow. 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 But yes, it's usually about 9:30. Because I usually have Wednesdays off. So I can start at 9:30, 10, or whatever, and go until midnight or 1, and then sleep in until like 9 the next day, and it's great, but not tomorrow. And there was really no other day this week that I would be able to do a live stream, and I'm just like, no, I don't want to miss my weekly live stream, so I just kind of squeezed it in here. So here we are. I gotta be at work in 7 hours, felled bro. Thanks, appreciated. God bless and have a great night, everyone. Have a good one. I think subjectivity has to be something that God considers. So as long as you're trying to look after others, I guess. I'd be good with a God like that. It's just a God just like, here's your commandment, don't be an asshole. I'd rock with it. Anyways, I'm still not sure what to call atheism. Saying religion and atheism is a bit cumbersome. What does one call both? Atheism is just a lack of belief in a God.
There's theism
That is
and atheism.
it. Religion is a whole construct, usually with some spiritual aspect, a belief system usually with some spiritual aspect involved, like Christianity, Islam, Judaism, things like that. So yeah, appreciate the answer. Enjoy the hour work tomorrow. I won't. When are you normally live? 9:30 p.m. Central Standard Time on Tuesday nights are usually when I try to go live. It's usually like 9:15, 9:45, 10. That's why I say like around 9:30. But yeah, today I threw a curveball and went live almost an hour early without telling anyone. Ha 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 ha. I'm gay as fuck. Respect. Respect. With that, I want to go to sleep. So, thank you all so much for being here. Sorry I went live a little bit earlier. I'll try to remember to let you guys know next time. I do that. Should be back to our normal scheduling program next week with me having Wednesdays off so that I can go live normally and stay live longer. But it's happy holidays. Thank you for the conversation. But my live stream schedule is dependent on my work schedule. So my work schedule moved. So don't move the stool.
Pretty set.
Don't move the stool. I tripped over their step stool in the kitchen today because my daughter left it in the middle of the kitchen. It was great. I walked through at 6 o'clock in the morning and fucking tripped over it. It was great. I mean, I didn't completely wipe out, but I banged my shins on it and whatnot. But yes, I'm usually live at about 9:30 p.m. Central Standard Time on Tuesday nights. I hope to see you in future ones. I sometimes do live streams, extra live streams throughout the week if I have the time and energy. It's not very common, but I try to. Yeah, thank you all for being here. For watching. Anyone who stopped by for a second and is no longer here, that's great too. I'm a random nobody on the internet, so any amount of support is greatly appreciated. And thank you for the likes, the chats, the good conversations. I really do appreciate it. So have a good rest of your day, night, whenever you're watching this, and I hope to see you later. Bye.